Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome back, dear brothers and sisters. I welcome you all to Madina Book 2. Inshallah, today what we're doing is we're doing class 57 today. So, very important class today. What we're going to do is we're going to learn about الناقص فعل, the weak verbs which has the lam kalima as the weak letters. So let's go to our class. If we just bring you quickly the chart which you're using here. So we know the fa kalima, when it has weakness, it's called mu'tal al-fa'i, and we know it's called al-mithal, and it can be wawi and al-ya'i. We know al-wawi, it's like, for example, wajaba, wajada, wada'a. So when it goes to mudari'a, then the waw is dropped. And misal al-ya'i, we didn't do much actually. So it is behaves like a normal fa'al. There's nothing which gets dropped. There's no change in the conjugation. That's why Dr. Ibrahim did introduce misal al-ya'i. For example, yatama, yaitimu, or ya'isa, ya'iasu. So that's the al-mithal al-wawi and mithal al-ya'i. So we know mu'tal al-fa'ayni is ajwaf. So we done in detail in last 2 or 3 classes where it's how to identify which verb is belongs to, and how to conjugate madi, mudari'a, and how it changes to marfu, majzoom, and mansoob, and amr forms. So inshallah, what we'll do today is we'll just take this off, and al-mu'tal al-lami is called an-naqis. That means the weakness is in the lam kalima. So again, same thing here. It can have weakness, is al-waw, or it can be al-ya'i. So that is an-naqis. So we're going to identify. This is little bit more trickier than the other ones because there's quite a few things which going on which we need to understand, and we have to remember it, inshallah. Let's move to our class then. So an-naqis. So what are the things we see? It could be in the lam kalima. It could be, we know it's a waw, and it is ya. These waw and ya can be hidden behind alif or alif maksura. So as a general rule for the naqis fa'al, whenever you see alif, that means it is waw. The original root letter is waw. And whenever you see alif maksura, so you can be rest assured that it is ya. It's a root letter. So that's the general rule. So there are some exceptions which we'll learn later, inshallah. So as a general rule, for example, if you see da'a, so da'a is, we know, is da'a wa. This is a waw which is changed into mad. Alif mamduda, that's what it's called, alif mamduda. So for example, tala, or if you see afa, means da'a means he invited, tala means he recited, and afa means he pardoned. So whenever we see ya, alif maksura, though we know it is ya. So in naqis, we have got all types of fa'als where you see at the end we can have alif mamduda, alif maksura, and there can be ya in its original form. So we're going to see how each will have its own method. So if you see rama means he hit, he threw, masha, he walked, baka, he cried, jara means to run, and ata means to come. So if you see in all these forms here, what we see is alif maksura, which is the original letter is ya. This is ramaya, mashaya, bakaya, jaraya, and ataya. So these are changed to rama. And what we need to see here, the reason why it's changed into alif maksura is because the ayn kalima has got fatha in all these files. That's why that ya is changed into alif maksura. It's rama, and is produced the sound of a, rama, masha, baka, jara, and ata. So if we just have a look at the ya, when do we get the original ya retained? Is when the ayn kalima has a kasra, like nasi ya. So we can't say nasi and just stay quiet because this alif maksura is actually has sound of a. So you can't have nasi'a. So it will have the original ya retained. So that's why we have nasiya, means he forgot. Khashiya, he was afraid of. Baqiya means he remained. So these are the ways where we can see the unnaqis fa'il can have alif in the end, alif maksura in the end, alif mamduda, alif maksura, and yeah. So if we see, just to introduction to mudari, I'm not going to do complete conjugation today. I'm just going to see what verbs these belong to. So that gives a good idea how these things conjugate. So da'a is verb nasara, nasara yansuru, and rama, masha, baka, jara, ending with alif maksura is daraba, is yadribu, and the one which has ya, proper ya, is nasiya, sami'a, yes, ma'u. So if you see just how the basic form is made, nasara yansuru, so it should have been da'a yad'u. Nasara yansuru is yad'u. However, because waw is a weak letter, so what happens, the dhamma sign has been taken away. So what we have is yad'u. So we just give a elongation of the sound, yad'u. Tala will be yatluwu, but the sign of dhamma is taken away, and what we have is yatlu, and afa will be ya'fu. So if you go to daraba yadribu, this will be ramaya yarmiyu. So it should have been yarmiyu. So we know the weak letter does not carry any vowel sign, so we will take the vowel sign, so it becomes yarmi. Masha yamshiyu, so again take away the dhamma, so it will be yamshi. So even though in these situations where we don't see dhamma, but we know in our mind that there is a, how do we describe this? Al fail mudari' marfu'un bi dhammatil muqaddara. So it is an estimated dhamma. The dhamma is there, but we can't see, but we know this is how it's a marfu form. So in all this file, so yabkiyu will be, take the dhamma away, so make it muqaddara. So yabki, yajriyu, same thing, and ata ya'ti, so take the dhamma, so we have yajri, tajri, we'll see a lot of places in runs, so to runs, ya'ati, comes, ata, he came, ya'ati, he comes. So nasiya yasma'u, see sami'a yasma'u, so if we say yansayu, so same thing again here, so we take away in mudari' the sign of dhamma, so it becomes yansa. Yasma'u will be yansa, he forgets. Khashiya will be yakhsha, yakhshayu will be yakhsha, and baqiya. So what's happening here is, if we see, because there's a sign of fatha, the dots of ya is taken away, it's turned into alif maksura, so we don't write the dots. So what we do is we just take the dots away. So dhamma is gone, and also the dots of ya, so it becomes yan sa. So sound with products of a, yan sa, yakh sha. So take away dhamma, take away the, and baqiya will be yabqa. So we're going to just conjugate da'a. So we're going to conjugate the madi, and we begin with all three forms, inshallah. We need to see how they are conjugated and what are the changes that take place that we need to remember most importantly. So da'a is originally da'wa. So in huwa form, so we're going to do all the 14 pronouns. So in huwa it is da'a. So da'a means to invite, or he invited. So when we go to huma, the original waw in these type of files where you find alif mamduda at the end, it comes out in two situations. One is when the huma in dual forms, when you use, for example, you can see da'wa. So this waw is the lam kalima of the fa'al, it's the root, and this alif is alif muthanna. So when, let's go to huwa, huma, hum. So hum is written as, originally it should have been da'a, wow. So wow, we know this is a fa'il, and this is a sakin pronoun, what we call it as, because there's a sukoon, and this is a fa'il. And now we have got repetition. So we know whenever we get these substitutions, the weak letter is taken away. So if we take this weak letter, so what do we remain? What we're left with? Da'aw. So this is the how it is pronounced. By whom? Da'aw. They all, they invited. That's how it's written now. And this alif is alif vikaya, to protect the fa'al. So here, so again here we see the situation where we got ta'utanisi coming with the sukoon, and we got again iltiqa'i sakinaini. So here the waw is gone. Waw only comes out in the huma, and in the other forms it remains normal. And because it's iltiqa'i sakinaini, so we got to take away again this alif mamduda with sukoon. So what we have left is ta'at. And huma, they both female, they invited will be da'ata. So these are changes which takes place in the sakin pronoun. So we can see these are the pronouns which has got sakin. We don't pronounce the sound of this. So da'awa, da'aw, da'at. Here in da'at and da'a is mustatir, and da'ata is again sakin pronoun. So if you go to mudari', not mudari', sorry, to hunna, so what happens here? The lam kalima comes out. The original root letter comes out. So at the mutaharrik pronouns, from hunna, we know the mutaharrik pronouns start noon niswa, and it gives sukoon to the lam kalima. And whenever such a situation, the lam kalima, the root, original root, comes out. So we have the auna. They all those females, they invited. And from the auna, we know it becomes easy. It becomes the auta, the autuma, the autum, da'awti, and da'awtuma, da'awtunna. These are mutaharrik pronouns. Da'awtu, I invited. Da'awna, we all invited. So if you bring another form just to get a good practice, tala yatlu. So now we know tala is actually talawa. So in huma, huwa, tala, he recited. Talawa, they both recited. This alif is alif. Musanna is the fa'il, it's a sakin pronoun. Waw is the lam kalima. Here, talaw, waw is the sakin pronoun. It represents whom. And the alif mamduda is dropped. Talaw, and this alif is alif biqaya. So we should be able to, even if there are no vowel signs, so they both would look the same. So we should be able to know, depending on situation, whether it is talking about both or all of them. So that's the difference. That's why we need to know what's happening in each fa'al. So again, talat and talata, they both recited. And talawna. So again here, this waw is original lam kalima with sukun, because of mutaharrik pronouns begin from hunna. So then it becomes easy. Talawna. There's a talawta, talawtuma. You recited. You both recited. Talawtum, talawti, talawtuma, talawtunna, talawtu, talawna. So this is how the fa'al naqis al-wawi, where ending with alif mamduda, is conjugated. Let's take some examples of fa'al naqis al-ya'i ending with alif maqsura. So for example, masha. Masha means he walked. He walked. So let's see again. The same principle is applies here. Even in huma and hunna, from hunna mutaharrik pronouns, the original lam kalima comes out. So here they both walked will be masha ya, masha ya. So this alif is alif musanna, that's the fa'il, and that's the fa'an, ain, and lam kalima. Let's do the same thing here. The alif maksura is dropped, and what we have mashaw. So this waw is the mutaharrik, sorry, not mutaharrik, sakin pronoun, represents hum, and alif wiqaya. Say mashaw, they all walked. So how do we write? So when we have masha plus ta'u tanisi, so what happens is we take away the alif maksura. So you take away, so what we are left with is mashat. So again, mashata. So this alif musanna, they both walk. So mashai. So we know whenever there is a Mutaharrik pronouns, the lam kalima noun, it comes back. So whenever is a mutaharrik pronoun, the lam kalima comes back and that will get a sukoon. So it becomes mashai plus noon niswa and that will become mashaina. And from mashaina, it's a highway. So you get mashaita, mashaituma, mashaitum, mashaiti, mashaituma, mashaitunna, mashaitu, I walked, mashaina, we walked. So let's bring another example just to get a good practice of this. For example, we say ata, to come, ata, to come, he came, or to come. So ata, and the same principle, and huma, the original lam kalima comes out and you get alif muthanna. So we ata, ya. So I want all of you to pronounce, to say along with me so you get good practice. So you say ata, ya. So what will be the home form? So we take away alif maksura and we bring waw, a sakin pronoun representing home. So it will become atau. So it will be atau. So it's alif qaya and will be atat and huma will be atata. So from hunna, so we know the ya comes out and it becomes ataina. They all came. Then from hunna, so it becomes very easy. It becomes ataita. You came, ataituma. You excuse me. You both came. Ataitum, ataiti. You female. You came. Ataituma, ataitunna. Ataitu. I came. Ataina. So this is how it is conjugated. So let's take some examples where the naqis is having original lam kalima. For example, the most important, very important file, very important to know how this is conjugated. Here, the things are changing because we have got ya in its original form. It is a bit easy, but we need to remember what are the changes that take place. So if we see nasiya, he forgot. So how do we say they both forgot? Will be nasi, ya. So it's alif musanna. So no changes here because the original, all the forms are there. So what happens when it comes to whom? So when we come to whom, so we have nasiya plus waw is your sakin pronoun with a sukun, and we got here weak kalima. So whenever situation we know here, what happens here? The weak letter is taken away. So what are we left with? We got nasi plus waw. But again, we got another problem here. So the problem is that kasra and waw, they are not compatible. They don't like each other. So waw is very stubborn. It says, I'm not going to go anywhere, but I don't like kasra. So what happens? The kasra says, okay, fine, I'm going to go away. And instead of kasra, so the waw, it likes its own shape. So it brings dhamma. So then these two are compatible. So what happens now is, instead of nasiya, when it comes hum, it becomes nasu. So this is why we have dhamma here, and this alif wiqaya, and this waw is sakin pronoun representing hum. This is the important change here, and we see how it happens at nasiyat. We don't have to do any change because everything is pronounceable, no conflicts, no conflict of interest. So it becomes nasiyat and nasiya ta and huma. And what happens to mutaharrik pronoun? Again, if you see here, nasi, mutaharrik pronouns, all we got to do is just give a sukoon and everything is pronounceable, no changes at all, just keep adding the pronouns. That's very straightforward. So it's nasi plus now becomes nasina. So it's not hasina, it is nasina. So we know from nasina, so it's straightforward. You just have to go nasita. You forgot nasituma, nasitum, nasiti, nasituma, nasitunna, nasitu, I forgot, nasina, we forgot. So this is how a fail naqis with original ya retained is conjugated. The only change is taking place in the hum form where the dhamma comes, and that's the reason why it comes because of compatibility issue. What we do now is we're going to bring another fail and a similar pattern and see how it is conjugated, just get a good revision inshallah. So if you can go along with me and then just say how it is. So huwa khashiya, huma khashiya. So it's alif musanna, so we need to know. And How do we do for the hum? So when waw comes the sakin pronoun, so it becomes khashu, khashu. They're all afraid. Khashita, khashiyat, and khashiyata for huma. And from hunna, it's quite straightforward here. This one, khashina. From khashina, it's straightforward. So if you just say here, so it's khashita, khashituma, khashitum, khashiti, khashituma, khashitunna, khashitu, khashina. So that brings to end of our class. So what we have seen so far is how the naqis files are used and how these are constructed in Madi. So what we're going to do is, inshallah, next class we're going to see how they are constructed in Mudari', and we're trying to use all the types of Mudari', Marfu, Mansub, Majzum, and also, inshallah, the Amr form. So just until then, keep practicing, keep revising yourselves. I'll see you again in the next class. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.